It's your boy Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in the wonderful world of Sorare. If you're new around here, we chat all things Sorare basically, so get comfortable, make a cup of tea, go make that cup of tea now if you've not got the kettle ready. Pause the video while you're making the cup of tea, give the channel a like and a subscribe, that'd be a big help to me. Unpause and let's go. So, we're in the middle of an international break. We have a lot of friendlies at the moment, which is really strange for Sorare. I've been playing Sorare Rivals, this whole new league version of Sorare Rival. I've had a relegation and I've had a promotion. So mixed, I'm a bit of a yo-yo club at the moment. You know, I'm a bit like West Brom used to be in the Premier League. I'm going up and down the leagues, but loving Sorare Rivals. But what I'm noticing is it's really hard to predict these friendlies. It should get easier to predict the squads when the Euros start, when Copa America starts. But for now, with all these friendlies and managers changing players and substituting people at halftime, it's really hard to play Rivals or any Sorare mode with the friendlies at the moment. Also, my gallery is not really built for international football. It's not what I've been focusing on. I'm a very sort of cautious Sorare manager. I'm still fairly new, started in December around Christmas last year. So for me, I like to plan ahead a lot. So if I wanted to take the Euros and Copa America seriously in Sorare, I would have started building my squads, buying cards 6 months ago, because I don't want to pay like over the top prices, peak prices for cards right now who are in the Euros, when I would have liked to have done that before. So for me, it's mainly about buying cards for August when the European leagues resume, especially the Premier League, which is kind of my favorite league. And also it's about putting together a few lineups where I can. I basically don't have any goalkeepers for the kind of European competitions or Copa America, but I do have a few cards here and there who are playing. So I'm kind of just putting out capped lineups with no goalkeeper and just hoping the 4 players smash that I play and seeing what happens. So I will show you a few new cards that I bought for next season. The most exciting being a Premier League goalkeeper for the first time. My first Premier League goalkeeper. So, I'll show you the few cards that I bought this week and my kind of thinking around them. But let's take a look at how I did last weekend in what wasn't the most exciting week for me, but let's just talk about the cards that are scoring well anyway. Here we go, here we go. This is how I did last weekend, which was May the 31st to June the 4th. There have been some midweek games as well, but I did even worse in the midweek, so nothing to report from midweek. If we look at how I did last weekend, I still think it's interesting, even though I'm not expecting anything during this little international period, just to kind of see which cards I have which are good, because I do have, it's encouraging to me to see, for example, Andy Robertson here scoring 141 points as my captain in my Cap 270 league. It is encouraging to me to see that I do have a few good pieces internationally. So I think maybe it's too soon right now to say go ahead and get a striker and a goalkeeper so I can piece together a good 5 cards. Because like I said earlier in the video, I like to plan ahead in advance. And the reason why I've got such a good card in Andy Robertson is because I bought him one of the first cards I bought when in the middle of the season, last season in the Premier League, when he was injured. He had a long injury. I bought him at the beginning of his injury when his card price had dropped. And that's kind of how I like to play Sorare. I like to scout cards. I like to have a list of players that ideally one day I would like, but I kind of want the price to drop. So it's encouraging for me to see that I do have good international cards, and that in the future, once I've got a few more goalkeepers, once I've got a few more strikers that play regularly for their countries, I should be able to say target a few more of these international breaks next season. But for now, I'm kind of just learning which of my cards do well, because cards like Kovacic at Croatia, I never use him for Man City because he's not a regular starter for Man City. And when he does play, you never really know when Pep's going to play Kovacic. But internationally, he seems to always play for Croatia. So I am learning that Robertson a great card for Scotland. Kovacic, a great card for Croatia. So in friendlies, when they play easy fixtures, these kind of cards are kind of cards that are reminding me, don't sell Kovacic, for example, because even if his price is so low anyway, you don't really want to sell him because what's the point? But when it comes to an international break, ka-ching, 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 Kovacic just comes into his own. So, I mean, he didn't have the best score, 49, but he starts every game for Croatia and is kind of a key player for them. So if we look at how I kind of did in the 270, the best players were Robertson and Kovacic. These two boys are kind of key players for Mexico, Quinones and Jimenez. They did play midweek. They didn't play in the weekend before. That's the case with friendlies. You never really know. But when Copa America comes and when the friendlies, I think Mexico are playing Brazil this weekend. So we should see a stronger lineup against Brazil. And that should give me more of an indication of what the starting 11 is going to be for Mexico in Copa America. And if it is Quinones and Jimenez both in the starting 11, that's pretty exciting that I've got two strikers from Mexico starting 11. So yeah, once again, a DMP goalkeeper, as we'll see with all of my Cats leagues now and throughout the Euros and Copa America, it will always be a DMP goalkeeper unless I find a really good bargain and I can pick them up. But for now, it's going to be Cats leagues, hoping the 4 smash, and the keeper will be a DMP. So that's how the 270 did. The 240, Jared Bowen got a rare start for England, didn't do much, 54, but it was a correct gamble by me, I think, to play him because he did start for England in that friendly. I don't think he'll start many more games now with the Euros coming and the friendlies running out. But, good to see. And also, Bowen is someone I'm excited about next season in the Premier League. I'm expecting West Ham to do a lot better. I'm building a stack of West Ham cards. I am trying to get the goalkeeper at the moment at a kind of good price. His price has kind of rocketed since the new manager got announced at West Ham. So I'm kind of hoping the hype comes down. But yeah, Bowen was good. Quarta for Atlanta played the last game of the season against Fiorentina. 73 was a fairly decent score considering they conceded 2 goals. So he's a good card for next season in the Champion League. I don't have many champion cards that aren't Premier League players, so it's good for me to kind of be reminded that I've got a few cards that when their fixtures are good, I could have a little nice couple of players there. 2 Santos cards here, nice to see. A really good score from Omar Campos at LAFC. An exciting player for me. LAFC, I don't really know much about MLS. I watch the occasional game here and there, mainly Inter Miami games. And if I've got a Sorare Rivals game going on, I like to watch the MLS because it's at the right time zone for me. I am living in Mexico at the moment. So the MLS is at a good time for me. So yeah, he's at LAFC, so he's a good card for me to have, and he helps with my Santos collection as well, which is at 4%. So is it 4%? No, it's at 3%. I've got the badge. I've got my first ever badge. Let's have a quick look at my badge. There it is. I've got my first ever badge. This is a little piece of news since last week. My Santos collection made it to 3.5%. So I got the badge, my first ever one, hoping to have a Chelsea one next underneath it, and then maybe a Necaxa one. Because my kind of collections, my main collections are Santos, Necaxa, and Chelsea. So I'd like those 3 badges to be here one day. But I've got my first. I've got Necaxa in there. So let's go back to last weekend. So yeah, he didn't do much. Jordan Carrillo is a really exciting Santos player. He's in the Mexico national team now, the senior team for the first time, and he's getting a few minutes here and there. I don't think he's going to be in the starting team for Copa America, but I'm kind of building up his bonus for next season with Santos, and also I think he'll come off the bench a few times for Mexico, and he's a really fun player to watch. So delighted with him, and then once again a DMP goalkeeper. Sam Johnson, by the way, DMP goalkeeper, but I am reading a lot of news about Sam Johnson. There are rumours that he might leave Palace if he's not kind of guaranteed the #1 spot. And there's also talk that he might be challenging for the #1 spot. So considering I bought him for like £3, if he can get a starting goalkeeper spot at a Premier League side next season, that could be a really nice bit of business. Or if he goes to the Championship and plays for a good team and again is their #1 goalkeeper, got big hopes for Sam Johnson being a nice little bargain pick. And I think his price is still pretty low. So little tip there. Once again, not financial advice. Got to do the YouTube disclaimer. Not financial advice. Just crazy football fan talking about how he likes to spend his money. And Cap 220 League. I think I'm going to be targeting the Cap 220 League hardest. What I've been doing at the moment is targeting the Cap 270 League with my best cards. But if I'm playing a DMP goalkeeper, I can play my best 4 cards in the 220 because the L15 scores added together are still fairly low when the keeper is a DMP goalkeeper. So I am going to slightly change my cap strategy from this week onwards. I'm going to be putting in my best cards in the 220 and not in the 270. I should have realized that earlier. I should have thought of that earlier. I'm just so used to having been playing the capped leagues in the European season and the Mexican season recently, always putting my best team in the 270 and then doing 240 and 220. And it's just a habit I got into. But now I've kind of realized if I'm going to be having DMP goalkeepers in all three of the capped leagues, I've got to be targeting the 220 the most, because that's the one where everyone's kind of putting in weaker squads. So my 4 best cards in there with the DMP goalkeeper, that's the best chance I have of scraping a reward. So even if I get a tier 4 card, that's going to be a big success for me. So Conor Gallagher did really well for England. 93 score in the end. I'm kind of... I watched the game, obviously. Big England fan, being English myself. I do think Conor Gallagher might start for England in the Euros. So I do have a cheeky... if I have Andy Robertson, Conor Gallagher, the Mexican boys up front, and they all smash, I could get a couple of good 220 scores throughout the international summer tournaments. So, I'm not completely writing off doing anything. And I will be playing the Rivals League. I do love this whole new Rivals League that Sorare have done. I am in a few friends leagues on Sorare Rivals. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing what kind of boxes you can win from that. So I'm still going to be having fun on Sorare during the international tournaments. But yeah, not much in terms of the pro mode. Luke Shaw didn't play. I thought maybe Luke Shaw might get some minutes off the bench to try and build his fitness back up. Didn't happen. My second Jared Bowen card was in here again. And at Wester, another LAFC player, doing okay there. So with MLS still being played during the international break, I do kind of have 2 LAFC cards at MLS and a couple of players playing for their countries. So I think if LAFC have a really good game and say Scotland have a good game or England have a good game, I might be able to put 4 really good cards together and then let's see what happens. So yeah, that's how the Capped Leagues did at the weekend. Just gone. Not really much else to play. I am still putting out lineups in my academy leagues. I am putting out leagues in the under 23 leagues just to build up XP. This whole period for me is just about building XP, build up those bonuses so that we're all ready to go in August next season when Sorare goes gung-ho. So that's how I did the weekend. I've not bought that many new cards since last week, but let's take a look at those new cards that I bought. So these are the cards that I showed you last week that I'd bought. A couple of cards for the Premier League, like Jared Bowen, Matty Cash, João Gomez. These are good Premier League players that I'm finding at good prices. For example, Matty Cash, 90p. I think that's a great price. João Gomez is in the Brazil squad as well and will be a key player for Wolves next season, £2.12. Fofana helping with my Chelsea collection. These two... Santiago Jimenez, big player for Mexico. I'm still reading a lot of news about how he's definitely going to be leaving Feyenoord. Liverpool are interested, Chelsea are interested, Newcastle are interested. So really hoping he gets a big move in the summer, Jimenez. If he doesn't get a big move, he's going to be a key player for Rotterdam. Just had an offer rejected. That's breaking news. Breaking news just in. I just had an offer rejected. I'll deal with that after the video. Doria also leaving Santos. That's why I signed him. And then these 3 cards are the 3 cards that I bought since last week. Nick Pope is my first Premier League goalkeeper. He also helps with my Newcastle collection. I do have a few players from this Newcastle collection. I've got him. I've got 2 midfielders. I've got Callum Wilson. So, I do have a little cheeky Newcastle collection being built from last season. So... £17 I think is good. I think his price is a little bit low because he's been injured all season, but he did make his return from injury, as you can see here on his little scores. He did play the last game of the season for Newcastle, and I do expect him to be the Newcastle #1 goalkeeper next season. I can't see them signing a goalkeeper better than Nick Pope. So Nick Pope should be one of my 3 Premier League goalkeepers next season. I still need to buy 2 more. I've got my eye on Areola, the West Ham goalkeeper, so he should be number 2. And then the third one will be the Chelsea goalkeeper, but I don't know who that's going to be. It was Petrovic last season, but then Chelsea have got a new manager, Maresca, and he has said he really likes Roberto Sanchez. He doesn't want to sell Robert Sanchez. Sorry, I think not Roberto Sanchez. I made him Italian when he's Spanish. Robert Sanchez. He says he really likes Robert Sanchez and doesn't want to sell him. And Sanchez isn't going to want to sit on the bench for another season. So maybe Sanchez is going to be the Chelsea #1 goalkeeper. I think I might have to wait for pre-season to start with Chelsea so I can kind of see who's going to be Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper next season. So I'm kind of glad I didn't rush and buy a Petrovic goalkeeper card already, because if Petrovic is the B team goalkeeper next season, I'm going to want Sanchez instead. So I'm holding off on Chelsea at the moment. And there's also rumors that Chelsea might want to sign James Trafford from Burnley. And if they sign him, surely they sign him to be the #1 goalkeeper. So I've got to wait with Chelsea to see who the goalkeeper will be next season. The same way I'm waiting to see who's going to be Chelsea's striker next season. If they don't sign anyone, Jackson's a great card for me to buy. If they do sign someone, I kind of want to buy who they sign. And one of the strikers Chelsea are rumored to be looking at is John Duran at Aston Villa. So I bought him for £2.80, which is kind of a good price for what he's been going for recently, which is kind of like £3 or £4, I think his price is at the moment. So £2.80 was a nice little bit below his market price at the moment. So I bought him because I think he's a good player. I think Villa have got a good young striker there. He's an under-23 striker as well. So if he stays at Villa, also Villa having European football means he should get a lot of chances for minutes either in the Premier League or in Europe if they have an easier fixture. Towards the end of the season, he was getting in the starting 11 for Villa. So I think if he stays at Villa, I'm quite happy with him as an under-23 striker to take a gamble on. If he moves, I think there's, a lot of clubs are looking at him because he does have a lot of hype. So I bought him on that transfer hype at £2.80. And then the last player I traded for a Japanese goalkeeper card that I had that never played. So I got him just to help my Santos collection. I think when I got this card, when I traded him, that's what got me my Santos badge for my Santos collection. So delighted, having fun. So only 3 cards that I bought since last week. I do think the prices are kind of being in a little bit of a funny place at the moment because there's lots of players playing at the Euros who I think when they get knocked out of the Euros, maybe the prices come down. And that's when I buy a few of those. So I'm still looking for bargains. I've got my hit list. I've got my players. I've mentioned a few of them who I'm looking at. Mainly Premier League cards and Premier League goalkeepers. And a few Liga MX cards because I love the Mexican football. I love the Mexican league. I do want to put out 2 really strong Mexican lineups next year in the Contender League and then 1 kind of mixed league in Contender and all in Classic. Maybe I do an in-season Santos collection next year in the Mexican League as well. But I do want to have 3 really strong Mexican lineups in Classic next season. So he helped with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are the cards I bought from last week. Let's now take a look at what lineups I'm able to salvage together and scrape up for this weekend coming up. Right then, here we go. These are my lineups for the coming weekend. I've put on screen, as always, the kind of fixtures that are most appealing to me, the most relevant fixtures for my Sorare card. So, as I've said earlier, not going to be playing any of the leagues except for the capped leagues. Not even in the under 23 league, I can't put out a squad for the under 23 league. So academy lineups and under 23 leagues are there for building up XP. And then I'm putting out a couple of punt teams. So the one I'm taking most seriously is the cap 220. Andy Robertson, nice game for Scotland. Captaining him once again, hoping that he can continue becoming a big scorer for Scotland. I've got Conor Gallagher in there as well because England have got a nice fixture as well. And then I've got 2 players from both Colombia. The USA are playing Colombia, so I'm kind of hoping, bit of a good game for Colombia. I'm really hoping for there. So I'm putting in Duran to kind of build his XP, but I'm kind of hoping he also gets some minutes. There is a lot of hype around him, and I'm hoping Colombia kind of give him a start because at Colombia he should be, he's a Premier League striker. Colombia don't exactly have loads of striking options. I don't know if he'll start the game, but I'm hoping he does, and if he doesn't, come off the bench and is desperate to impress. And then Daniel Munoz, really attacking defender, been doing really well for Crystal Palace. Hoping he can continue that form from Crystal Palace into international football. If he does, I'm really banking on that Colombia game. I might have to watch this game if I get good scores from Robertson and Gallagher on Friday. I might have to watch USA v Colombia on Saturday to see if these boys can do something. So that's going to be my 220 team. This is my 240 team. Fabian Schär, he's got an okay game, I guess. Paulinho, Portugal, Croatia should be a really good game to watch, actually. Portugal, Croatia, hoping, going to captain him because he's kind of a fairly reliable player for Portugal, I think. And then I've got two players in the Mexico Brazil game. Again, if these guys do well, I might have to watch Mexico Brazil. I'll probably want to watch Mexico Brazil anyway to cheer on my Mexican comrades. But yeah, Jimenez at Mexico and João Gomez. I don't know if João Gomez will play for Brazil, so I'm not really hoping for much there. But I didn't really have much options, so I'm kind of hoping if he comes off the bench or they rest a few players, maybe he gets a game for Brazil. And Jimenez, I am expecting to play for Mexico, so hoping he does well. So I'm just kind of getting excited about him for next season, really. So that's my 240 lineup. And then 270 will be Quarta for Argentina in defense. Don't know if he'll start, especially with him just playing for the Serie A season just finished a kind of week later after most European leagues. So I don't know if he'll be rested because he might be tired from that. But just in case he's not, I'm going to put him in there. Gonna play my young Peruvian, Quispe. He's playing Paraguay. And he's kind of a main player for them, Peru. So hoping he plays. He's a nice young player, Liga MX. So going to captain him, see what happens. Kovacic, as I mentioned before, usually plays for Croatia. They're playing Portugal. So I've also got two players in this lineup from that game. Pedro Neto, I don't think will start for Portugal. But again, I don't have many strikers who are guaranteed to be playing in this international break. So Pedro Neto, I'll put him in case he comes off the bench. Kovacic should play, but I'm expecting Croatia to lose against Portugal. So let's see how he does. So yeah, it's not that exciting, my lineups for the coming weekend. In the past, I've kind of got really excited and really thought about the fixtures. But with the international break, I don't really have a good set of fixtures. So these are the cards I'm going to be playing this weekend. Let me know in the comments if there are any cards that you can think of that should be in the starting 11s for their international teams and aren't going to cost me that much money. They're kind of at an okay price. It's not that I don't want to pay money for a good goalkeeper, for example. I'm happy to pay what it takes for a goalkeeper, and they are the most expensive cards on Sorare. I just want the goalkeeper price to be the kind of steady price he'll be, say, when the Premier League starts or when the European season starts. I just don't want to be paying a goalkeeper who's 50% higher priced right now. I put him in my team for the Euros. He only plays for like 3 games, gets knocked out, and then his value drops by 50%. And then I kind of would want to buy him then for the Premier League or European season. You understand, people. Let me know if there's any cards that aren't ridiculously gone up in price right now and that will play in the Euros and will kind of stitch together my teams together so I can maybe put out a 5 lineup. But I don't think there's many of those cards out there at the moment. So let's just enjoy the international break and focus on Sorare rivals. Good luck with your game weeks coming. If you are in that fortunate position in Sorare where you can put 5 good cards out together, I'll see you next week. Peace.